invited here to speak, or so to say, we were celebrating the moving of the embassy here to Jerusalem. And the big question around it, whether the moving of the embassy is a provocation, or this is something that, is part of our community, part of our history, part of our religion, etc. And so I'd like to say a few words about it. I think that throughout history, we can sort of analyze almost every event in Jewish history where people have called it a provocation. And it doesn't matter whether this is the moving of the American embassy here to Jerusalem, or maybe this was the foundation or building our beautiful Knesset here in Jerusalem. Why wouldn't the Knesset of Israel, our parliamentarian area, the place where it's the most, the people who are making the decision about the people of Israel will be in one of the most centrist places in Israel, like Tel Aviv? Why wouldn't it be there? Why did you have to move it to Jerusalem? Was that a provocation as well? I can go back in history. My grandfather used to drive the heavy vehicle that would bring food and ammunition to the Jewish community here in Jerusalem. Why would the Jewish people need to move food and ammunition to the Jewish people here in Jerusalem? Was that a provocation as well towards the Arabs or the Turks or anyone that came after the Jordanian? Some people might call that a provocation as well. And even if we go through the long history of Jews, the rebellion of the Hashmonaim, right? Why would the Jewish people want to rebel against the Romans or against the Greeks? Was that a provocation as well? So throughout history, almost everything that Jews did would be called a provocation. And that was an excuse for some people to hate or persecute the Jewish people. Why did they do that? Why is it so important for us to put Jerusalem in the center of our identity? It's the symbol of Judaism. So I can tell you this is not a provocation. Throughout history, it is simply called to be Jewish. And what does it mean to be Jewish? It means two things. It means a set of values in Jerusalem. Those set of values that have been passed from generation to generation throughout history is what define us as Jews. This is when we know what's right and wrong, and we're willing to stand for standing by the right thing to do, by those values that we were taught that are right throughout history. A lot of the time, standing for what's right has cost us in our life, the lives of our family, even this land. Being chased out of this land, of our cities, of our home, time after time throughout history. Those values, you can see them today, or you can go back to the biblical time as well. Like a monotheistic religion, right? What does it mean? A monotheistic religion. When Abraham came to his community, to his family, to the people around, to tell them, hey, you're doing everything wrong. You don't need to worship idols or to give kings your money and your wealth and food. Enslave yourself to those statues all around. There is only one God, and He doesn't want anything from you except of your prayer and your love. That's all. That could be called as a provocation as well, right? And to some people, it actually was a provocation, and that's why we've been persecuted time after time for this belief that there's only one God, right? Trying to convert us from that, fighting for what we believe is the right thing to do, is what we know is right. And we died for this value as well. more values like the Shabbos, for example. You know, don't murder, don't steal. This is easy. But the Shabbos, this is one of a socialist values that we've been persecuted, or that was a provocation, right, as well. Try and imagine back in those times what it meant to kings or to people who had slaves all around. This one day that no matter whether you're a slave, you're Jewish, you're not, you're an animal, or you're a human, this one day you need to rest. This is your time to spend time with your family. You've been working so hard the entire week. How would that be caught also a lot as a provocation? How many times throughout history people tried for us to actually force us not to keep the Shabbos on purpose? And until now we come to these days where some of these values are so normal. This is some of the normal foundation of Western society, a monotheistic religion, either a Friday or Saturday or a Sunday to have free with your family or your prayers or whatever you choose to do. And so throughout the past we've been persecuted for our values and for Jerusalem as well. Jerusalem has always been a symbol of our religion, of our history, of our culture. You cannot separate Jerusalem from our identity. It's impossible. It is part of it. And so if we look on the past and how people thought we're doing provocation, but in fact we're only keeping our beliefs, our tradition, our history, and our religion. This is what is happening today as well. And so maybe a point to think about it. Maybe it is those who are saying this is a provocation, those are the ones who are actually creating the provocations. What about the Romans stealing one of the highest symbols, the menorah, from Jerusalem, melting it in their own country? Wasn't that a provocation? What about the Arabs taking over Jerusalem, turning ancient synagogues to pigsties? Or the Kotel, some of our holiest sites, to a dumpster? This is what it was before the 67 war, a complete dumpster. They would throw trash into this area. Maybe this is a provocation. And so maybe moving out all of the embassies out of Jerusalem, maybe that was the provocation. So I've got one message for you here today. We will continue to preserve and cherish Judaism, our religion, our history, and our culture, and advance humanity by doing so. And they can continue with their own provocations. Thank you very much.